You are Locked On Warriors Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mag Morning Show on KMBR. Maybe you might know me from this program as well. And today, we got a very, very special guest on with us today. Half of Murph and Mac, Paulie Mac, joining us today. But tonight, man, the Golden State Warriors picked up a huge win over the New York Knicks at the Garden. And after trailing at halftime, Steph and Jimmy just absolutely flipped the switch in the second half and led the Warriors to a dramatic come-from-behind victory. And really, the defense led the way big time tonight. And considering this is the fourth game of the road trip and the back end of a back-to-back, the win tonight just speaks volumes as to where this team is right now. This should signal to the rest of the NBA that the Warriors are a legitimate playoff threat. We'll break it all down with Paulie Mac, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn those notifications on. And thanks for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed and making us your first listen following these Warriors games. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. But let's get right to it, man. Paulie.
Yeah.
Win, dude. Well, I'm feeling the particles all the way in San Francisco from the Garden. How are you feeling tonight, man?
I feel great. I mean, listen, dude, I'm just like you, bro. And it's great to see you, Triple E. I love you're growing out the beard, let the hair fly, get it going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Triple E's like me. That's why one of the reasons we bonded so well is because I'm like what am I? Let's see. I'm I guess I'm like second or third generation hippie, and Triple E would be like, I guess, fourth generation hippie, but we're all part of the same family. So it's great to have Triple E on the mic again. And yeah, dude, I agree with your sentiments. Like, first of all, a back-to-back coming off a nice win in Charlotte last night. You know, a lot of times that second night is tough. And after the game last night, Steph Curry was talking about his ankle, and he said, listen, I'm not sure if I can go tomorrow, meaning today at the Garden. And he said, if my ankle hurts, I'm probably not going to play. So the fact that Steph got out there, listen, Curry loves playing in Madison Square Garden. We know this. And I love Madison Square Garden. That's a building I've been to many, 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 many times for concerts, Knicks games, Ranger games, college basketball. And there really, Triple E, I'm telling you, there really is like a unique brand of electricity in that building, because you can start with like the location. It's right in Midtown. It's on 33rd and 7th. And it's like, it's chaos outside. It's the definition of the concrete jungle. So like that energy spills into the building, and there's just something about playing on that big stage in New York. Steph Curry loves it. He's had a lot of memorable games on that floor. And again, another one tonight. So like you said, a couple of numbers I wrote down during the show. Or during the game rather. Triple E, they're 3-1 on this road trip. They improved to 34-28 on the year. Now, here's what I was getting a little nervous about in the first half. They didn't look as slick in the first half as they did in the second half. Dude, how about this? They shot 5 of 23 from 3 in the first half. I started thinking like this might be one of those nights where they're just not hitting threes. It's a second night on a back-to-back. It's probably not going to work out. And lo and behold, dude, they flipped the switch in the second half. And dude, I'm with you, Triple E. Draymond Green made the proclamation. He said, we're going to win a championship. And I'm starting to feel like that actually might be possible, or at least a deep playoff run. I think that they're capable of doing that. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how you look at this team in the body of work that we've seen from them in the last couple of weeks and say anything but that. I mean, you look at what the Warriors did tonight, and like you said, they were terrible from three-point land in the first half. And that was very similar to last night in Charlotte, actually. They were awful from three-point land against Charlotte as well. But hey, by the end of the game, you end up around 35% shooting. They were also below 40% from the field in that first half, finished the game at 48.9% from the field. And the Knicks, who were over 50% from the field in the first half, the Warriors in the second half really put the clamps on. Knicks finished below 45% shooting from the field. So really, in another game where they hold an opponent to about 100 points, and this has just become this team's identity at this point. I mean, the identity of the Warriors, even though there's still, Jimmy Butler fixed a lot of problems, he did not fix the 3-point shooting problems that the Warriors have been having this season.
Right.
He has fixed a lot of other things. The turnover margin, the Warriors win almost every single night in the turnover category. And the ball, the way that it hops around with Jimmy Butler in the offense, it is never stagnant.
Great call. Yep.
Defensively, the way that Kerr has his lineups and his rotations, you always have Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green on the floor. So you always have at least one hard ass out there who's going to get after you and hold everybody on that team accountable for their job on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, the way that the Warriors just flip the switch after getting Jimmy Butler, it's amazing to me. Like the particles. Yeah, hey, the particles. You know what I mean, Paulie?
I do, bro. I'm all about the particles. Yeah.
Oh man, and it is. The Warriors have all of a sudden become so fun to watch. Like I was absolutely locked into this game. And pre-Jimmy Butler, I was having such a hard time getting through some of these games, man.
Me too. Yeah.
And it's just been such a different vibe with this team lately. But I want to get into a couple big moments from this game. I personally felt the switch flip right as soon as the Warriors came out in that third quarter. Steph got off to a really hot start, had 6 points in the first minute 30 of that third quarter, drilled a three. And for me, as soon as I saw that three go in from Steph, I breathed a big sigh of relief. And I know if I'm breathing a big sigh of relief, so is everybody on that Warriors bench. And as soon as we saw that go in too, we saw Jimmy start getting into the paint, working his magic down there, getting to the free throw line. And man, it just got everybody going, both on the offensive end of the floor and the defensive end of the floor. It was amazing out there to watch the Warriors, again, just be able to flip that switch. And obviously Steph has done this his whole career, but man, it just never gets old watching Steph do this out there. And you forget that he's 36 and in the twilight days of his career. And it might not be a thing we get to see too many more times.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny with Steph Curry, Tripoli. I feel like he's almost like a Tom Brady figure where I don't really even acknowledge his age anymore, because the same thing was going on with Tom Brady. Like when he got past 35, then he was in his late 30s, then he was in his early 40s, and he was still playing at that very, very high level. And I got to be totally honest, I don't see a lot of drop off in Steph's game in any capacity. Like, he still moves without the ball really well. He's constantly working on the floor for an open look. And I don't see any drop off. So I got to say this too. You talked about the hot start at the third. You know what a really nice moment of the game for me was at the very end of the fourth quarter. The Knicks were kind of hanging around. And by the way, another point you just made, Tripoli, I want to compliment you on, because I totally agree. I see the same thing. The ball movement. Like there's something about the way Butler has been able to facilitate where everybody is suddenly gotten much crisper with their passing. So like the ball movement is stellar. It reminds me of the old days with the Golden State Warriors, but that three that Steph buried just to ice the game right in front of the Warrior bench, something really cool happened there. Now, Tripoli, last season, I actually went back to New York and I caught the Warriors at the Garden. I was at the game last year. And one thing I noticed immediately was how similar the crowd was for Steph Curry as a visitor as it used to be when Michael Jordan would come to town, because Michael Jordan had that same kind of effect on crowds. He would sell buildings out by himself. People like who, aren't in the division, like the New York Knicks, you get one chance a year to see Steph and bam, that building is sold out. Now, Trips, when I went to the game last year, I'm not exaggerating when I say maybe 30% of that crowd were Warrior fans. And I saw tons of Steph jerseys. So tonight, when you see Steph bury that three late in the fourth quarter to ice the game, dude, the crowd went crazy. And it wasn't just Warrior fans. Like the Knicks, that's one good thing about a New York crowd. Like they will give it up for the greats. And the fact that they know they're seeing greatness with Steph Curry. They've been seeing it for 14 seasons. It really did. It reminded me of the Jordan years where Jordan was like a hated enemy of the New York Knicks, but they always gave him his love because, he's Michael Jordan. There was only one, and there's only one Steph Curry. And that was just a great moment. The crowd was behind him. And, dude, one more game. I think they got one more game on this trip, right? Thursday correct. In Brooklyn. And then let's come on back to the Bay. Let's come on back to real civilization, get some home cooking. You give Aisha a kiss. Oh, and by the way, shout out to Draymond Green. Happy birthday, Draymond Green.
Happy birthday, Draymond. 35 years old today, celebrating in one of the greatest cities in the world with a win nonetheless. I'm hoping that he takes your advice, takes my advice that you have now forced me to impart on everybody who I ever cross. He's got to go celebrate at John's, man. Absolutely has to go get John's on Bleecker, get a slice, and just go out into the New York night.
Okay, so Triple E, I'm going to tell you a quick John story that was just told to me by Brian Murphy last week. So I have my new show up and running now, Polymac Particles. You guys check it out at your leisure. We'd love to have you and support my man Triple E. In the meantime, subscribe to this kid. His kid is he's on his way up, and you got to give him some love at the beginning because he's going to have a long career. But so last week I was talking to Brian Murphy. He came on my show, and we started talking about Chris Mullin. And Chris Mullin's a New York boy, played at St. John's and all that stuff. And Murph, I guess, had an event with Mullin a couple of weeks ago. So Murph put it to him. He goes, "Hey, Chris, tell me the truth. When you go back to New York, where do you get your pizza?" There was a pause, and he looked right at Murph, and he goes, "Dude, I go to John's on Bleecker every time I'm in New York."
You,
me, and Mully. And that's the thing. Once you get that stamp of approval from a Brooklyn guy like Chris Mullin, you know the pizza's legit. But I'm glad I was able to pass the torch to you, Triple E. Enjoy John's for the rest of your life and spread the word because there's nothing like it. Yeah,
absolutely. I even, when I made the pilgrimage, when I went to New York a couple years ago, I even bought the John's on Bleecker t-shirt. I should have worn it tonight. I don't know.
Dude,
what I was thinking.
I got a John's on Bleecker. I got a John's on Bleecker hoodie. You know what I mean? I bought a hoodie.
I remember you would wear it almost every day on the morning show, and it inspired me. And you know, I gotta take a peek at the chat real quick. And my guy DG, not Draymond Green, but my guy DG says that the Warriors are looking good, and he can't wait for Jonathan Kuminga to come back. And that is a big piece of this Warriors lineup. We talk a lot about the non-Steph minutes, and I mean the one game that they didn't have Jimmy since they acquired him, the game against the Sixers, the one that they lost on this road trip. The non-Steph minutes were abysmal. They were awful. And with Jimmy back in the lineup for the non-Steph minutes, this team looks night and day different. And when you add Kuminga to mix, this team is going to be taken to another level. I don't know if he's going to start or how he's going to mix in with the rotation, because I'm really liking the Moses Moody and Brandon Pajemski alongside Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, and Steph for the starting lineup. What are you thinking, Jay? How do you think JK is going to mesh back in with this team, Paulie?
That's a really good question. We're all eager to find out. And I don't know that I can really predict that or that I have a feel. I'm going to have to watch it because, first of all, you just mentioned Pajemski, and I look at Pajemski's first half of the season, and I got to admit, I wasn't thrilled. I was not thrilled with Pajemski.
Any of us were.
No, dude, his shooting was way off, and that spark that he used to bring wasn't there. Suddenly, post All-Star game. Now, again, I don't know if this is Jimmy Butler and the rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing, but suddenly Pajemski's a player again, and he's hitting shots. He's making a difference. He's great with the basketball in his hands, and he's got a high IQ. But as far as the Kuminga integration, that's a really exciting piece to add to this team, which is now cruising again 8-2 in their last 10 since Butler's come on. I expect it to. I'll tell you this, Triple E. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I do expect that the winning ways are going to continue, because one thing that Draymond accomplished by saying, and he did this during the All-Star break, he goes, "Listen, we're going to win a championship." And when Draymond said that, a lot of people criticized him and dude, look at the standings. Look at where you. Well, look at the standings now, because they are right now as of tonight, they're a 6 seed, and they could go even higher because they still have a bunch of games left. But what that also achieves, Eric, is it gets that kind of mentality into the younger players' heads, like Pajemski, like Pat Spencer, like Quentin Post. You know what I mean? Like Kuminga. Let those guys hear that kind of talk. We're not just thinking about the playoffs. We're thinking about rings, dude. We're thinking about championships. That's the Golden State Warriors standard. And the fact that we're actually having a real conversation right now about that being a possibility or a reality is so exciting to me, dude. Because the first half of the season was kind of depressing. I was God, this is no way to end Steph's career. Not that it was going to end this year, but I mean, just the tail end of things. I'm like, God, this is awful for Steph to be on a non-competitive, hovering around 500 team. Suddenly, they're a factor again. And by the way, I did mention my guy. You know who my pet unsung hero guy is coming off the bench? Triple E. I'll tell you right now, I'm a Pat Spencer head. I'm a Pat Spencer head. Every time he's on the floor, something good happens. He can play.
This is true. And Paulie, little known fact about Triple E, I actually played lacrosse in community college. It was a very ragtag. We were the Bad News Bears of our lacrosse league, because we just formed this ragtag group of former football players and former hockey players. And none of us had any stick skills. We couldn't make passes. We had one guy on offense who was he was like a 6'6", like LeBron James type stature guy. And our whole game plan on offense was give Jordan the ball and get out of the way.
Yeah.
And we called him Ogre was his nickname, just to give you an idea of how nasty this guy was out there. But the rest of us, man, we could hit some people. They actually had me playing MIDI, which was really funny, but
wow.
It was really fun. We didn't really know what we were doing out there, but we hit a lot of dudes pretty hard.
Good.
Don't ask me our win-loss record, but I do like the lacrosse to basketball transition.
Yeah.
Speaking of unsung heroes, Paulie, I did want to point out one huge factor at the end of this game, and it's Guy Santos, man. And Guy Santos, who so many people wrote off when the Warriors drafted him and just said, this guy is never going to be a legitimate contributor. I actually remember working on the night show at KMBR with Dieter Kurtenbach as the host.
Nice.
And I brought up, like, just jokingly to Dieter it was right after the Warriors draft. And I was like, oh, Guy Santos could be a guy. And I swear to God, Dieter was going to break through the glass and strangle me just for saying it.
Wow.
Look at Guy Santos, man, at the end of this game, hits a clutch three when the Warriors really needed it. It was a 1-point game, and Guy takes that three with the big coconuts and drills it, man, and puts it to a 4-point game. And then later on, with about 2 minutes left to play, 3 minutes left to play, Guy comes up with a huge defensive play when the Warriors clog the lane. Loose ball starts to fly out of bounds. It would have been the Knicks ball, and all of a sudden, here comes Guy Santos soaring like an eagle out of bounds. Jumps, grabs it, throws it back in bounds to a Warriors player. They push the ball up court. Kevon Looney dunks it. And at that point, to your credit, what you were saying, the Garden started to come alive for the Warriors highlights. And man, oh man, this was such a vibe out there in New York. And also speaking, like, to your credit, speaking about the love that Steph's been getting away from home this year, it hasn't been just at the Garden. Like, one of the most shocking moments of this whole season was when they were on the road in Houston earlier this season. I think it was the last time they went to Houston. And like, after the game, Steph had a big monster game that day. And there was about I want to say like a quarter to like a third of the entire lower bowl just stuck around for the post-game interview to watch Steph. And
I know,
man. Like, I'm still Harden years where they would just hated him out there. And even in Houston, where Steph robbed them of multiple championship appearances, they're still showing him love. And that's amazing to me.
Yeah. Well, he's like a national treasure, man. I think, when a guy does it at this level for this long, and I just was looking at your comments line. I see your guy DG here saying that Shaq said tonight after the game, Steph needs to be in the conversation about greatest of all time. It's a great point. I'm glad you put that up there, DG, because I kind of agree. Now, Steph Curry's probably not going to get a lot of votes as the greatest player of all time, but he's definitely the best shooter of all time. There's no disputing that. He's probably one of the top 2 guards of all time, top 2 or 3 at the most guards of all time. And I don't know that many people have changed the game the way Steph Curry has. I would equate it to somebody like Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix came along doing stuff on the guitar literally that nobody had ever seen, and he influenced everybody around him and everybody that came after. That's kind of what Steph Curry did with basketball. Like, dude, and I saw it with my kids. When my kids are playing CYO, and then they went on to play high school basketball. All the kids now, dude, they all want to launch shots from like 45 feet out. They all want to play that brand that Steph plays. And that drives coaches crazy, by the way. They don't want 10-year-old kids launching 40-foot shots. But that's my point. Like, he changed the game. So I think this is just a result of its appreciation. It's appreciation for greatness, and it's gone all over now it's global. I mean, after what he did in the Olympics in France last year, like, the entire world got to see Steph put on that kind of show that is so unique unto him. And so what you saw in Houston that you mentioned, what you saw in New York tonight, that's just appreciating greatness. And, one more thing I want to say tonight, Trips, is, you mentioned Guy Santos. I was talking about Pat Spencer. There's other guys, Quentin Post. I mean, listen, I feel Buddy Hield. I feel like the bench is back. I feel like they have depth again. And I feel like now you can actually start. Somebody get Joe Lacob on the phone. Tell him he can start putting those shirts on the seats again, strength in numbers, because now it's back. Like, there really is strength in numbers. Like, I don't sweat that much now when Steph takes a breather, because I know the cavalry, the guys coming off the bench, are going to hold their own and play solid basketball. And that is also such a great element of Warrior ball to see back. Trips. They got depth again, and that's also been a huge plus for them.
Oh, yeah. I think it's just absolutely remarkable how through 2 different general managers, the Warriors still keep finding these second-round gems. I mean, Quentin Post, I think Fitz is like contractually obligated to state that he's the 52nd pick a draft every single Warriors game.
Yeah.
I mean, even tonight, like he didn't have the best scoring night. He only had 3 points, but you saw the impact this guy made on defense. And I really didn't expect that from a guy. I mean, you see a European center come over who's a 3-point shooter, and you immediately want to label him as he's probably soft on the interior on defense. This guy's anything but soft. And I want to run this by you, Paulie. I keep hearing Tim Roy calling Quentin Post the Dutch Master on the Warriors radio broadcast, and I'm all in on that nickname. I mean, the postman, or we already had a mailman. We can't go like postmaster or something. We got to go Dutch Master, man. We got to go Dutch Master.
I can run with that. I can run with Dutch Master. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So I mean, just what a win tonight, man. Like, I feel like this is the kind of win that can really push this team like to another level. You look at what their schedule is like coming up, and the Warriors really could continue to go on a run. I mean, they got Brooklyn next, as you said, but then they come home and they play Detroit, which by Detroit, don't sleep on them. They've been really good this year, and I mean, Cade Cunningham has taken another step forward. This guy is a legit superstar in the NBA. But then you got Portland and Sacramento. Those are two very, very winnable games. And then you get the real test. You get New York and Denver and Milwaukee all at home 3 games in a row. So that will be a very big measuring stick for the Warriors. But you do get, after they return home, they'll be home until March 22nd when they hit the road for Atlanta. So the Warriors have an opportunity here, and this is crazy, but they could legitimately start climbing the ladder in the Western Conference. If the Grizzlies or the Rockets start to lose some games, I don't think the Lakers are losing any games anytime soon, the way that they look at Luka. But I think that they can legitimately start to climb the ladder in the Western Conference, and we can start talking about, the Warriors maybe having like a home court advantage in some series. Like, that would be absolutely wild.
Well, dude, here's what I need you to do, Triple E. When the season is close to finishing and we're getting ready to go into the postseason, dude, have me back on and we'll do like a whole playoff kind of conversation. And I also want to get you on my show at some point soon. It's been super. Yeah. No, I'll be coming for you, bro. You enjoy your free time now, because I'll be coming for you soon. I want to come back and I want to talk about those playoff, like what the whole landscape is going to look like. And you're right, dude. I'm starting to get like a little bit stressed about the Lakers, and it's bumming me out. I saw some of the shit Luka was doing last night, and I was like, oh no, now I got to deal with this freaking guy, because it's not out of the realm that the Warriors see them in the postseason. That could happen. I'm starting to get concerned too. But the best thing the Warriors can do is just keep playing winning basketball. Keep handling what's in front of you. Don't worry about let me worry about the Lakers. They won't be losing any sleep, because they're laser focused on what's in front of them. But yeah, they're a factor, dude. They're out there and they're balling hard right now. So it's going to have to be something we'll talk about again. Yeah, Paulie.
And this was just such a fun game. I wish we had more time, but I got to let you go, man. We're up against it. But thank you so much. We will absolutely be getting Paulie Mack back on the show whenever you want to, man. You can call your own shots. Like, you are, you already know this, man, but like, you are one of the inspirations for me in my career, and just I appreciate you and everything you've done for me, and for taking the time to come on.
Hey, listen, brother, I freaking love this kid, Triple E. I'm a big fan of yours, dude. I got your back in all manners, so happy to support the show. I want to get more subscribers over here. Spread the word on Triple E, dude. This guy's working hard. He's talking dubs every night. You guys need to give him some love, and I'll get my audience to get over here too, Triple E. But dude, always a pleasure. I'm available anytime you need me, brother. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Paulie. Appreciate you, man. And we will be right back, taking a quick break here. On the other side, we're going to be talking about, tonight's player of the game, the turning point, and so much more. Don't go anywhere. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. And guess what? Last night, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 50. So run, don't walk to your DoorDash Dash Pass right now. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 2024-2025 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the very next day from noon to midnight. We are within that noon to midnight right now. Take advantage of this deal. There's a few different ways you can take advantage. At this point, we're in the late night cravings, man. Whether you're staying up late watching highlights from this Warriors win, or just need a midnight snack, use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Just sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off the order the next day. like what happened last night. So this is active right now, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50, that's NBA50, from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. And today's show is sponsored by OpenPhone. Running a small business means you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone, and before you know it, you're juggling customer calls all day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where OpenPhone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. OpenPhone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. And if you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring that you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's OPENPHONE.com/lockedonnba for 20% off 6 months. openphone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. So much fun having Paulie Mack on the show, man. I love that guy. Just particles flying everywhere. But tonight, man, Paulie's not the only one bringing the particles. The Warriors doing it out in the Garden. Big win over the Knicks, 114-102, going away with it at the end after it was a very sweaty game. Again, the Warriors sweating another third quarter with that comeback. Jimmy and Steph absolutely take over in that third quarter. And man, what we're going to be talking about tonight, let's get right into it.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And what you'll be talking about after this game is that the Warriors are a legitimate playoff threat. You cannot watch this game and tell me that the Warriors are not one of the top teams in the NBA at this point. I know that the Knicks didn't have Karl Anthony Towns, but the Warriors weren't exactly healthy either coming in tonight. Remember, Steph almost didn't play because of that ankle injury, as we just discussed with Paulie Mack. The Warriors firing on all cylinders right now, and this team is legit. If the NBA hadn't already been put on notice after the Jimmy Butler acquisition, they certainly are now. And the Warriors going forward, as we just talked about with Paulie, they will have a big opportunity to face some real playoff threats. They're going to be facing the Knicks again later this month on March 15th. Then they play the Denver Nuggets on March 17th. And then they play the Bucks on a back-to-back on March 18th. So lots of opportunities for the Warriors to prove to the rest of the NBA that they are legitimate and here to stay. And one more thing we got to get into, the turning point from tonight.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And for me, the turning point was when Steph hit that three to open the third quarter. It really got the entire Warriors bench going, made me breathe a sigh of relief all the way, thousands of miles away from New York, sitting here on my couch in San Francisco. And I know that if it's making me breathe a sigh of relief, it's making the entire Warriors bench breathe a sigh of relief. It's making Steph breathe a sigh of relief. And after that, the Warriors went on an absolute tear from beyond the arc. They finished the game around 35% shooting from three-point range. After in the first half, they were just abysmal from beyond the arc. They missed so many shots, and so many of them were just wide open, like warm-up jumpers that the Warriors could not drain. They were, I have it right here, 5 for 23 in the first half. That was just terrible. And I mean, so many of those were just wide open, like layup line type warm-up threes. So, I mean, the Warriors really turned it on in the second half, and seeing that ball go through the hoop early in the third quarter for Steph was a big reason why. And let's just get right into it. The player of the game from tonight.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
And who else are we going to give this to? Come on, you already know. It is Stephen Wardell Curry. I mean, dude just came alive in the Garden as he always does when he plays out there. 28 points for Steph and so many threes in that second half. Steph finished the night 5 of 9 from distance. He also had 9 assists and 7 boards. He was doing it all, a plus 23 plus minus. Steph was on fire tonight, as he usually is out there in the Garden. This was so much fun. I wish we could just do like an hour-long show. I wish we could have kept Pauly for the entire time too. But man, we got to get on out of here. The Warriors, they got one more game on this road trip. They go to Brooklyn, so they don't really need to travel. They're going to stay out there in New York. Go play Brooklyn tomorrow or on the 6th. So that's 2 days. They get an off day tomorrow and then play Brooklyn on Thursday. The Warriors hopefully will be a little bit more rested than they were tonight. It feels like they were just running on just the particles of Madison Square Garden, and it led them all the way to their 34th win of the season. Don't look now, but this team, I mean, they really could push this run all the way to, I'm not even kidding right now, to the NBA Finals. That really could happen for this team. I'm locked in. Every single game for the rest of the season, I am locked in on the Golden State Warriors. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Thanks so much to Pauly Mack for joining us. We'll be certain to have Pauly Mack on the show later on this season. Thanks to all our everydayers. DG, my guy, super active in the chat tonight. And thanks so much for tuning in, even if you weren't in the chat. But hey, get involved in the chat, man. It's fun. So we'll be coming to you live Thursday after Dubs Nets. That game tips off at 4:30 p.m. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn in those notifications on so so you don't miss a show, man. Why would you want to miss a show? Of course, you're getting all the best Warriors recap right here on the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.